talking about. CSR, for example, is one such area, and I want to share about this with you for your benefit, okay? And to share, I did like once we realized that yeah, CSR is going to be really really important for HR managers to lead in the organization. We created exercises around it in our course, and people had to perform that so that they got comfortable with handling CSR related work. Okay, but before we go there, I want to discuss with you whether you know why CSR in the first place is important for organizations at all. Okay, why is it important? I'm happy to take your opinions on chat. Why is CSR important for organizations? So I'm going to share some reasons with you. Okay, it is not an exhaustive list. It is some of the reasons I've written here. Okay, you will notice that corporate CSR spends are very significant, which means a huge amount of money is to be handled by someone looking at CSR. In 2017 to 2018, approximately 289 companies spent about 7,000 crores. Okay, in 1 year. In 4 years, so Companies Act has a provision on CSR. In 4 years, from 2014 to 2018, they spent 68% of the amount, totaling to 52,000 crores. Okay, so the money that is being spent on CSR contribution is huge. Okay, and actually, uh, working on that means that you will be doing a very important role. Why are they spending so much, by the way? I'll just get to that. Okay. With expansion of the corporate sector, this outlay will increase as India is growing in services, in manufacturing. This outlay is going to increase. Okay. Now, there are few legal requirements for CSR which make doing the CSR, engaging in CSR activity mandatory. Okay. There are, if you are not in those requirements, if you are below those thresholds, then it is voluntary. Okay. Otherwise, it is mandatory. Okay, so what are the requirements? You have to pay 2% of your profits to CSR activity. If you have a net worth of 500 crore, okay, net worth, there's a formula to calculate it. Basically, your assets minus liabilities turns out to give you a 500 crore figure, or turnover, meaning revenues of 1,000 crore, or profit amounts to 5 crore or more. Okay, 5 crore or more is not a very high figure of profit to have. Okay, and in that case you have to contribute 2% of your profits to CSR. Now what happens here, okay, is that it's mandatory for companies within that threshold to make contribution to eligible initiatives. All these are written in the Companies Act. Okay, now my job here is not to teach you the law. Point is not that. Point is, if you know that this is the legal system, this is what is happening, and a lot of companies have to spend money on it, then you realize that companies need an officer inside who is there to spend that money. Okay, now the legal and compliance team are not spending that money. The finance team is doing the disbursals. Legal team is doing the compliance. They'll put in the report. They will tell the finance team to calculate the amount. That's what and then that's what the legal compliance team will do. The finance team will calculate the amount, be responsible for the disbursal. But a lot more areas are left out, right? So companies need a resource to do this. SEBI made publishing a separate report on CSR activities mandatory for top. This is not 100 now; it's become 1,000. Okay, this was amended, so it's 1,000 top 1,000 BSE listed companies. Okay, 1,000 is a big number. They have to prepare a separate report on business responsibility. Okay, and that is connected to their CSR activities. So every company which is doing whether so every company which is engaging in CSR activity has to have an some part of their report in on CSR in their annual statements. But the biggest 1,000 listed companies in India have to have more content, specific report on this. In addition to the annual report, they need a full blown content on that. I'll show you the Tata Motors ka report. Okay, in a short while I'll show you Tata Motors ka report on this. CSR has a strategic role for organizations also. You'll notice that large corporate groups have dedicated CSR initiatives in-house. What does this mean? It's like this, that their main company will have a society or a trust, which will be a subsidiary. And this trust, so for the donation, what the company will do is they will just give this to their own trust. Okay. Companies like, for example, you have Jindal's University, right? Now, it is connected with the Jindal corporate group. Okay, now how this is done is a matter of the structuring that's done by legal teams. But big corporate groups have their own non-profit arm also, and company law allows you to do that. So you may do the CSR activity through your own non-profit arm, or you may do it by donating, okay, to by making this contribution to a third party. Okay, now understand this: if you have your own non-profit arm, the work is going to be way more, right? Because you're not just you're not just shortlisting a project and contributing to somebody. You are actually running the whole CSR operation. Okay, so you have to spend that money, you have to run the operation. Now that opportunity HR managers have, that in both ways, for both these scenarios they can contribute. I'll give you the breakup. As of 2014 to 18, there's like 4 5 years of data, which is already there in a report. Okay, so 24% of the top 100 companies had their own foundation. This was where they had their own non-profit entity, and 52% had their own CSR department. In through that department, they may decide ki we will give it to a third party, and other so 24% had their own foundation. Foundation means the non-profit entity, okay, like a trust or a society or a non-profit company. Education and health are some of the most important CSR sectors. The full list is given in the companies act. Okay, not important right now to know what the list is. Okay, but what you need to know is this. So I'll show you some of the details here. So you will find on the net, okay, 20 top 20 companies spending on CSR in education. Okay, huge amounts are being spent. And you will see the names, all the big companies are here. Reliance, NTPC, Infosys, Wipro, and look at the amounts they are spending. Okay, huge amounts. Tata Steel. Now let's go back. What are the why are companies doing this? What are their strategic benefits? Companies want to do this because of goodwill, because of public relations benefits, okay, because of their branding. It does work in a lot of ways as advertising, okay, and so it's goodwill, and it works for their public relations campaigns. Sometimes there may be opportunities to hire talent also from CSR initiative. Like if you are running hotels, okay, and you want to do CSR, you may want to create a hotel management institute, okay, where you might once in a while hire employees, hire candidates from there. You might give internships to the people who train in that institute in your hotel. Okay, now there are legal restrictions that you can't take money from the institute into the hotel business, but that's fine. The hotel institute can run on its own, but it will supply a very very steady pool of talent for you, right? So like that, companies identify ki these are the sectors we want to have our CSR initiative in. And somebody needs to be there to decide that, like your CEO, CXOs will decide that, but they will need someone to implement. So HR is a very, very effective partner for that.